Hi, welcome to the replay of today's session on September the 14th. Now, as a quick summary to today's session, we continued a previous session where we talked about the importance of follow-ups. If you missed that session, the link is in the description. We covered 4 topics today. Number 1, we looked at the data for why multiple follow-ups are important. Second, we talked about how the same concept of multiple follow-ups apply even in situations where you're not demanding action. You just want to gently nudge the customer forward. And I went through 2 specific examples of this, requesting a Google review or raising customer awareness like for the upcoming tax season or so on. And finally, I'll walk through exactly how to set up these sequences in Pipeline. And by the way, these sequences are created and ready to share with you. Just ping our team in chat to get started. And as always, the timestamps are in the description if you want to jump around. All right, so let's get started. So I'm going to go ahead and just jump to our topic for today and taking a look at what we had discussed previously. Now, this was based on research that we had done looking at over 1,000 data points in terms of communicating with our customers and how many touches or how many follow-ups it takes before the customers will actually respond. And looking at over 1,000 points of data, this is kind of like what we discovered. About a third of our customers respond very quickly to the initial emails. About half of the customers respond by the third or the fourth reminder email. So they wait a bit. And then about 17 to 18% of customers don't respond to any email at all. And as I said in the previous session, the key takeaway from this finding is that multiple reach outs, multiple touches are the key. So if you're asking your customers to send you something, to respond to something, sending just one email is not enough. Now, the last time we were talking about asking customers specifically to respond to required actions, like answering questionnaires, uploading tax documents, uploading missing files, financial statements, things like that. But what if you actually wanted to send generic follow-ups on things that are not necessarily action required? And so here's a couple of examples of what I mean. So the first one here is asking your customers to submit a review. Very, very common. We all know how important customer reviews are. They're kind of like the lifeblood of our business to kind of gain online reputation and so on. And obviously we understand, according to Forbes here, 90% of customers read reviews before reaching out to a business. So this is really, really important. And you definitely want to build up a good reputation online. So one thing to obviously check is if I'm searching for you in Google, do you have a Google business profile, and do you have a good ratings, or do you have any ratings on your Google business profile? Now, the key thing in terms of building up a good reputation online is that we all know it's not going to happen by itself, right? Most customers aren't going to be mindful enough to leave 5-star reviews by themselves. So you have to be really proactive about this and ask the customers to leave a review for you. And this is a perfect example where these types of emails are not the action required emails. It doesn't make sense here. It's too demanding, right? You can't demand customers to leave you reviews, especially if you want to get 5-star ones. But you can nudge. And if we take into account the things that we learn, which is one reach out is not enough, you have to do multiples. Here is an example of how you could automate that, automate all those nudges in Pipeline. So here's an example of a sequence that reaches out to the customer. Notice that we're sending multiple reach outs to the customer because, as we said before, one is not enough. If you just send one email asking the customer, hey, can you submit a review, they may ignore you, right? The vast majority needs multiple reminders. And so here, notice that we have multiple steps that sends reach outs to the customer asking for a Google review. Now, the second thing is that if you notice the icons, In number 2, we're sending out an email. And then number 6, we're sending out an email. But notice that in here, number 4, we're mixing it up. We're sending a text message. And again, if you go back to remember the data that we learned, there are multiple people, quite a few, 17 to 18% of your customers, they're not going to respond to an email. But we all know everybody's got a cell phone. We all know the response rates from a text message is much, much stronger. And so in terms of a reach out, you can see here, you have to be able to mix it up, a combination of both email and text messages. And so what does this email then look like? So it looks something like this. As you can see, it's very short, sweet, and to the point. This is just an example here. We're so honored that you chose blah, blah, blah company to help you with whatever service that you provided back in September 2002 or something like that. Please leave us a Google review and support local businesses like us. And you can lift this exactly for your business as well. Great short snippet to ask customers to send you a Google review. And most importantly, the difference between something like this versus those action required emails is that this is a gentle nudge. They don't have to take action. But if they want to take action, they can just click on the link, go to your Google business page, and then leave a review. Now, let me show you another example of where this could come in really handy. And this is an example of a sequence of awareness emails. Very similar, very important as we're starting to get people prepared for the upcoming tax season. So this could be a series of emails that you're going to be wanting to send out to your customers about getting prepared for the upcoming tax season. And instead of sending long, wordy emails, because let's just admit it, nobody reads long, wordy emails today. In fact, research shows that the optimum length for an email is about 75 words, max 150 words if you actually want it to be read. So if you're sending long, wordy emails, you need to break it up into a series or a sequence of emails that communicates what you need to communicate to your customers. And it could look something like this. Here's a sequence. As you can see here, we're going to queue it up. We're going to queue it up until December the 1st. And then once December the 1st happens, we're going to start sending out a series of notifications to the customer. The first one, as you can see on this one here in number 2, it is asking the customer to save the date for the information deadline. Specifically, we're going to ask them to add that date to their calendar. That way they don't forget. And then we're going to wait a week. And then we're going to go to step 4. And then we're going to ask them, again, very typical, to see if the customer wants to schedule a tax interview. They don't have to do that. But if they wanted to do that, they can certainly take that initiative. And then afterwards, we can wait until after the new year and send them another reminder or something like that. And so this is a very easy way to set up these follow-ups, these reach outs to your customer very, very easily for you and automate the whole thing because Pipeline is handling all of this for you. So very digestible for the customer because everything is broken up, and very automated for you because then once you set it up, you don't have to think about it anymore. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take a look at the submitting a Google review. So it could look something like this. As you can see here, this particular sequence of activities, we're going to be sending, if you look at the icons here, you can clearly see we're sending a mixture of both email and text messages that you can see here. So that's what we're going to be doing. And this series of steps, as you can see, is a total of 8 steps. And by the way, all of these templates have been created and ready to share with you. So just go ahead and ping us either in the channel or you can ping us in chat and we can share all of these pre-created sequences to your account. And that way you don't have to start from scratch. All of this language have been already done for you. So let me go ahead and just create an ask as a demonstration. I'm going to go ahead and put in my customer information. I'm going to put in the phone number here, and I'm going to say the last time that they made a purchase was, let's say, September the 1st. Here is their Google business profile that we have that we want them to go to submit a review. And once you click create, then this particular customer will automatically be added on to the series of outreaches to them, both from a email perspective and a text perspective. Now we have, as a best practice, generally we have a step here in step 1, which gives you the opportunity to just review the email before it gets sent out, just as a safety check, just in case you like mistype their name or something like that. But once, if you don't need to do anything, the system, as you can see, will autocomplete in a day. Now, once that happens, the customer will get an email that says, hey, please submit a Google review. And you can see here, I'll give it a second for the email to show up. While we're waiting for that, you can see once the email has been sent, we will wait 2 days, 2 business days, before we send the text message to the customer asking for a for a review, as you can see here. Once that happens, we're going to wait 3 days and then send an email. And then after that, we're going to wait 4 business days and then send the final text reminder. So a mixture of both email and text messages to make sure that you're going to get the review. Again, being very proactive here. And this particular flow that we created is super helpful that you can connect it with or integrate it with any of your existing flows. So for example, if you're doing bookkeeping or doing tax returns or something like that, this would be a natural extension of, as soon as you complete the bookkeeping, you may want to have the customer engaged here. That way you can make sure that when the engagement is over, you remind them to submit a review for you. So super, super clear there. Go ahead and do a check here. Looks like we may not gotten the email yet, but that's an example of what this could potentially look like. All right, so let's move on to the second one. So this is the second example that I talked about, which is getting ready for the tax season. And we had built this one out based on some information and feedback from our customers here, which looks something like this. Typically, we want to start sending out these emails at around the 1st of December. And if you take a look at the emails here, we can see here that we want, that very first one is that we want to notify the customers of the information deadline for the new tax year, which is probably going to be around, usually around March, right? March 10th, March 13th, or something like that. And in addition to not just letting them know about the information deadline, we want to give the customer the ability to add that date to their calendar. That way they'll have it on their calendar, their Google Calendar or Office 365 or their Yahoo Calendar or something like that. That way they can always see that deadline coming up. So that first email there is asking the customers to A, be aware of the information deadline, and then B, to add that date to their calendar. And as you can see, the email is really short. Remember what I said about if you want your customers to read and digest that email, it needs to be about 75 words, 150 words max. And the call to action here is asking them to add that date to their calendar. Now, once we send that, we're going to wait a week. Then the second one here is asking them to see if they want to schedule an interview. Now, previously in the previous sessions, we talked about integrating with Calendly, and this is a great place where you can do that integration with Calendly, because then you can link to your Calendly booking calendar. And then you're asking them, do you want to schedule your personal interview? Again, they don't have to do that, but if they want to, they can certainly take advantage of that. And this is where that integration with Calendly becomes super helpful, because once they book that interview with you, then we can connect it with Pipeline and start asking follow-up questions based on the tax question interview that they would like to have. Now, again, once we have sent out these 2 emails, we're probably looking at the end of the year. We're right at around Christmas, New Year's time. So, again, based on feedback from customers, other CPAs, financial advisors, things like that, most people aren't going to be doing anything during the holidays anyway. So it's pointless to continue sending out emails. So you want to wait until the new year happens. So here, as you can see, we have a delay until the beginning of next year, which is the first Monday, January the 7th. And then we're going to send them, and again, this comes up a lot, which is, hey, please make sure that you have access to the client portal. Because a lot of people, they forget their username, they forget their password. And so here's a confirmation to just remind them, hey, let's get your credentials to your client portal situated before we start sending out all your tax organizers and questionnaires and all that other kind of stuff. So these 3 things are the top things that we have uncovered talking with other CPAs, accountants, that is in their checklist, a series of communications that they send to their customers to get them ready for the brand new year. And again, this template that I just showed here, that I'm showing here, is ready, has been created, pre-built, and ready to share with you. So just go ahead and either ping us either in chat or type it in the Zoom message and we can get it out to you. All right. So this is a really, really good one to help your customers prepare for the upcoming tax year. Now, the last one here, another final example that we have here is collecting payment. Really interesting here. So you may take a look at this particular reach out and think to yourself, why would I need this? Why would I need something like this for collecting payment? You may have something in QuickBooks that sends out reminders or something like that, or you may be using another invoicing system, Bill.com or something like that collects payments, that sends out reminders. And for the vast majority of the time, what we uncovered when we talked to other owners is that for the vast majority of the time, this does work. The QuickBooks auto reminders or stuff like that, it does work. The times where it doesn't work is when, like I referred to at the beginning of our session here, that 17 to 18% of people that don't respond to emails at all, those are the people that we're trying to get here. And so in this particular sequence, because Pipeline can send out text messages and even drop recorded voicemails, this is where it'd be super, super helpful. So this particular sequence here, you can see that we have a mixture of emails and text. Now, again, this template is created and ready to share with you. So if you only need this to send out text messages to customers, by all means, go ahead and customize it. But we made a mixture of the two. And so you can see here, again, expanding all of these steps. We send out an initial email to the customer saying, this is when your payment is due by, and it links to whatever your payment system could be. It could be your payment link from QuickBooks. It could be from CPA Charge or anything like that. Then we're going to delay for 2 days. Then we're going to send out a text message. And again, that text message is going to give you that additional responsiveness because most people are going to be able to receive text messages, but not everybody checks their email. So sending out a text message, we're going to wait 3 days, send out an email for the reminder, delay for a couple of days, and then send out a text message as a reminder. So having something like this where we can send out both text messages and emails, especially for payment, if you find that the reminders perhaps in QuickBooks or something like that is not enough because it's only sending out emails, having something like this could be very, very useful because it can send text messages. Okay, no questions. So here, going back to our Google review, so you can see here, we got the email asking the customer to submit a Google review. And what's nice about this is that when we're sending it, we've set it up in Pipeline to where if they click on this particular link, so I'm going to go ahead and just click on it. So it's going to take you directly to the Google review page. In this particular case, we're linking to a law firm and asking the customer to submit a review or something like that. Now, what's nice about having these built into Pipeline is if we come back and notice that this sequence of activities or this sequence of reach outs to Daniel immediately stops. So as soon as my customer clicks on that link to go to my review page, it will immediately stop. We're not going to keep hounding them to submit a review if they've already done it. And what's super nice is that Pipeline will track that the user clicked on it. And in this particular case, we can see that the user clicked on step number 2. So we skipped all the rest of it and they clicked on the link that we had provided. So very, very easy, very, very smooth, and super, super helpful to manage and automate all of these follow-ups and keep track of whether or not the customer responded or didn't respond, all automatically for you in Pipeline. So just as a reminder, we have our sessions like this every other Wednesday. So please join us in 2 weeks, Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time, for additional Pipeline insights, Q&A, and strategies to help move and automate and accelerate your business processes. In the meantime, if you don't want to wait until the next session, you can always reach out to us in the online chat via the app, or take a look at our online resources, or schedule a meeting with any of our experts that to answer your questions. We are available Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Central Time.